Picture this. Bill Gates, 2003, hunched over his Windows XP machine. The task? Simple. Install Windows Movie Maker. The reality? Maddening. 1 hour of futile searches, cryptic dialogues, and forced reboots later, Gates, the titan of tech, erupts. What an absolute mess! That outburst, preserved in leaked memo, wasn't just comedic gold. It laid bare the internal tension between Microsoft's soaring ambition and its all-too-human flaws. Yet from every stumble, every setback, Microsoft has emerged remarkably stronger. Nearly half a century since its founding, Microsoft endures where other tech pioneers, IBM, Xerox, have faded into the background. The secret? A particular kind of resilience mixed with ruthless adaptability. To understand this phenomenon, we must rewind to 1980 when Microsoft made its first decisive move. In 1980, IBM, the towering mainframe colossus, faces a predicament. They need an operating system for their personal computer venture, but have none. Enter Microsoft, a fledgling company led by Bill Gates, a Harvard dropout with an uncanny eye for licensing deals, and Paul Allen, his brilliant but reserved partner. Their solution? Pure audacity. They didn't even have an operating system. Instead, they acquired one called QDOS, Quick and Dirty Operating System, refined it, and licensed it to IBM as MS-DOS. The genius part of their contract? While IBM got DOS for its PCs, Microsoft retained the right to license the software to other manufacturers. Soon, every IBM clone ran Microsoft's product. This shrewd maneuver laid the foundation of Microsoft's empire. By mid-1980s, MS-DOS dominated the landscape, an austere text-based environment powering a new generation of affordable personal computers. But the Gates knew better. Text prompts and cryptic commands would never captivate the masses. Like Apple before them, Microsoft had glimpsed the future during their legendary visit to Xerox PARC, where the graphical user interface was born. While Apple moved first with the Macintosh, Microsoft's slower but broader approach would ultimately have far greater impact. Their pursuit of a graphical interface culminated in the first Windows versions. Though early iterations barely made ripples, Windows 3.0 in 1990 changed everything. Icons, Windows, multitasking. A year later, Windows 3.1 perfected the formula, standardizing desktop computing's look and feel. Windows 3.2 followed, its localized upgrades expanding Microsoft's global reach. This success, equal parts serendipity and relentless determination, established Microsoft as the software titan of its era. While Apple cultivated its own closed garden, Microsoft aggressively licensed the software to any hardware manufacturers eager to join the PC revolution. By the early 1990s, owning a PC meant running Microsoft's code, period. But this was merely the prelude to Microsoft's defining moment when personal computing would become truly personal. The early 90s brought a new reality. Graphical operating systems were no longer novel. Apple had Mac OS, IBM had OS/2. Microsoft's response? Windows 95, launched with such theatrical grandeur it bordered on the absurd. Gates orchestrated a marketing symphony, Rolling Stones' Start Me Up blaring in commercials, a clever nod to the revolutionary start button. The public's reaction was unprecedented. Store shelves stripped bare at midnight. People, yes, actually human beings, camping outside retailers for an operating system. Years later, Gates would call it our biggest gamble yet. The gamble paid off spectacularly. But the triumph breeds danger. As Microsoft savored its Windows 95 victory, a new threat emerged from an unexpected quarter: the web browser. Netscape Navigator threatened to render operating system irrelevant, promising a platform-agnostic internet paradise. Gates' response was swift and characteristically thorough. His Internet Tidal Wave memo called the web the most important single development since the IBM PC. Microsoft's solution? Bundle Internet Explorer with every copy of Windows. This strategy, brilliant to some, ruthless, anti-competitive to others, effectively colonized the browser market. Government antitrust watchdogs eventually circled, but by then, Internet Explorer's dominance was 2001 brought Windows XP, Microsoft's masterpiece of stability. For the first time, home and professional editions united under one polished banner. But even this triumph came with thorns. Viruses and worms target Windows XP relentlessly, threatening its pristine reputation. Gates, incensed by the chaos, made a dramatic pivot. New features? Paused. New priority? Trustworthy computing. This defensive crouch proved prescient, especially as Linux began tempting disgruntled enterprise users. Microsoft had learned a costly lesson. Sometimes survival means stopping everything to fix what's broken. Through it all, one figure loomed larger than life: Bill Gates. His internal reviews were legendary: deep, meticulous, occasionally volcanic. That movie maker meltdown? Pure Gates, demanding excellence or at least rapid fixes for obvious flaws. His approach made Windows and Office ubiquitous, but it also created an atmosphere of intense pressure within Microsoft's walls. In January 2000, Gates stepped aside as CEO, elevating Steve Ballmer, his Harvard friend and longtime lieutenant, to the throne. The contrast was stark. Gates, the analytical visionary; Ballmer, the passionate salesman, famous for his sweat-drenched stage performances chanting, "Developers, developers, developers." That mantra wasn't just theater. It signaled Microsoft's devotion to its third-party coding army. Under Ballmer's watch, Microsoft's ambitions expanded dramatically. Xbox emerged in 2001, a risky venture that bloomed into a multi-billion-dollar gaming empire. Windows Server solutions flourished, binding corporate IT ever tighter to the Windows ecosystem. Developer tools like Visual Studio and .NET Framework proliferated, ensuring Windows remained the coder's playground. But Ballmer's era wasn't without its spectacular failures. The Zune, Microsoft's answer to the iPod, sank without a ripple. Windows Phone arrived embarrassingly late to the smartphone revolution, only to be crushed between the iOS and Android juggernauts. Steve Jobs famously declared Microsoft had no taste, and critics branded the company as slow, complacent, too wedded to its past glories. These failures cost Microsoft dearly. Entire markets lost to more nimble competitors. And yet, the company endured. Windows and Office remained a global constant. The enterprise server business thrived. Microsoft had mastered a particular set of skills, missing the next big thing while keeping its core empire not just intact, but growing. In 2014, Microsoft stood at another crossroad. Cloud computing, ignited by Amazon's AWS in 2006, was transforming enterprise IT at breakneck speed. Microsoft had Azure, but it lagged behind AWS momentum. Enter Satya Nadella, the longtime Microsoft employee who had quietly steered the server and tools division. His ascension to CEO marked more than a change in leadership. It heralded a cultural renaissance. Nadella's first move was a complete mindset transformation. Learn-it-alls would replace know-it-alls. Humility would supersede arrogance. The famously rigid internal silos were demolished under the banner of One Microsoft. Nadella understood that cloud dominance required harmony. Windows, Office, Azure, and developer tools working as one seamless ecosystem. The changes were dramatic. Office appeared on iPad, unthinkable during the Windows or nothing era. Azure surged forward, powered by shrewd enterprise licensing, robust data centers, and deep customer relationships. Most shocking of all, Microsoft embraced Linux, integrating it directly into Windows. Old guard executives who once called Linux a cancer watched in disbelief as developers gained native Linux tools within Windows. Nadella's philosophy was clear: better to offer what users want than watch them flee to competitors. As Microsoft reinvented itself for the cloud era, artificial intelligence emerged as the next battlefield. Google, armed with vast data and elite researchers, seemed poised to dominate. Internal Microsoft memos revealed growing anxiety about Google's advances in large language models. Then came the master stroke. OpenAI, a promising startup making waves in generative AI, caught Microsoft's attention. The result? $1 billion investment in 2019, ensuring that all computational brilliance would run on Azure. The partnership proved prophetic. When ChatGPT exploded onto the global stage in late 2022, Microsoft was perfectly positioned. Bing, long dismissed as Google's poor cousin, suddenly became fascinating, enhanced with a similar technology. Office 365 gained Copilot features, letting users create emails, presentations, and documents with almost supernatural fluidity. This integration played perfectly to Microsoft's strength. Enterprises already married to Office found AI capabilities seamlessly woven into their daily workflows. The tech world watched in amazement as Microsoft forced Google to react, a stunning role reversal that spoke volumes about the company's resurgence. The AI story continues to this day. Microsoft's journey reads like a masterclass in corporate evolution. Despite rarely pioneering new categories, they mastered the art of refining and amplifying existing ideas at massive scale. DOS eclipsed CP/M, Windows overshadowed Apple's GUI, Azure caught AWS, and OpenAI's innovation supercharged Bing and Office. This late but mighty strategy reveals a profound truth. Being first matters less than having robust distribution, trusted branding, and strategic partnerships. The infamous embrace extend doctrine within Microsoft has since evolved from a weapon against competitors into a philosophy of collaborative growth. Failed ventures like Zoom or Windows Phone might have crippled lesser companies, but Microsoft's core revenue engines, Windows, Office, servers, developer tools, provided the cushion to pivot and persevere. Microsoft Research continues pushing boundaries, quantum computing, natural language processing, augmented reality, proving the company can innovate as well as iterate. Each setback, from movie maker meltdowns to mobile mishaps, has forced Microsoft to adapt and evolve. The fortress may someday fall, but for now, Microsoft's ability to arrive late yet dominate endures. Wave after wave, crisis after crisis, they marched forward, and almost always, they find a way to win.